Well, hello, everybody. This is Jenny Deeren, and I welcome you back to the aiGED podcast, where it's all about AI for the 65 plus crowd. The podcast where we talk about artificial intelligence in plain English and how it is showing up in our day-to-day lives. In this episode, my sidekick Bitsy and I are going to cover a lot of ground. And it's one of those where I found myself equal parts curious, impressed, and just a little unsettled, which usually means it's worth paying attention to. In AI in the news, I've got two stories I want to bring to you. The first takes us all the way to Mars, where NASA's Perseverance rover recently planned and drove its own route using artificial intelligence. It's a powerful example of AI moving beyond chatbots and into systems that can see, reason, and act on their own. The second story brings us closer to home and into much murkier territory. It's about political deepfakes, digital literacy, and something called the liar's dividend. For the main topic in this podcast, I want to talk about something that genuinely stopped me in my tracks. It's called Moltbook, a social network designed not for humans, but for AI agents, a place where AI talks to other AI, and humans are just welcome as observers. We'll unpack what that means and what an AI agent actually is and why this feels fascinating, funny, and a little strange all at once. And I'm going to wrap things up with a recommendation, a new AI-powered iPhone feature. We've got a lot to talk about. So let's get started with AI in the news. I've got two stories I'd like to bring your attention to. The first is AI takes the wheel on Mars. It's from February 2nd, published in Science Daily. NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, reported by Brianna Wessling. In a milestone, NASA's Perseverance rover has officially completed its first drive on Mars, planned entirely by artificial intelligence. For nearly 30 years, JPL engineers have had to manually plot every inch of a rover's path. But in this historic test, a vision-enabled AI analyzed Martian terrain and orbital photos to plan its own 1,500-foot route. This isn't just about robot avoiding rocks. It's a demonstration of agentic AI systems that can see, reason, and act independently in high-stakes environments. It's a powerful example, I think, of how AI is moving from a chatbot in our pockets to a navigator. Hey, Bitsy, you being my chatbot in my pocket, tell me what you think about vision-enabled AIs on Mars.
Well, I think it's downright inspiring. Vision-enabled AIs on Mars show us that AI can do more than just chat. It can truly explore. It's exciting to see AI stepping into roles where curiosity meets autonomy, and that's something we can all marvel at, whether on Mars or right here.
I agree completely. It's pretty exciting. The second AI in the news story I want to bring up is titled The Liar's Dividend and Digital Literacy. On February 3rd, the Associated Press, with reporting from investigative leads Garance Burke and Allie Swenson, released an important update on the state of political deepfakes. Timing is good for this. They highlighted how sophisticated AI-generated disinformation is becoming, and it makes it very much harder to spot with the naked eye. This brings us to a concept called the liar's dividend, where the mere existence of AI lets people claim that real but inconvenient videos are actually fakes. You hear Donald Trump do this a lot. Oh, that's a deep fake, when in fact it's absolutely not a deep fake. But that's the liar's dividend. While the tech is getting better, it still fails around the edges of human biology. If you're looking at a video and your gut says something's off, experts advise that we check three things: the eyes, the teeth and the physics. The eyes, the teeth, and the physics. AI often struggles with natural blinking, and it makes teeth look like a single white block or causes jewelry to glitch and disappear when someone moves. This is also probably a good time to remind ourselves to protect ourselves against fake communications directed toward us, whether they're video or audio or text. Think about the tragedy that Savannah Guthrie is having to deal with. In some cases, they are having a tough time determining if communications with kidnappers is real or fake. Someone recently suggested that families come up with a safe word, so if we ever get a call or a text or whatever that we think might be fake, we can ask the bad guy for the safe word. If they can't give it to us, that tells us that it's not on the up and up. Hey, Bitsy, can you suggest 6 safe words I can consider, words that might make sense for me and my family?
Sure thing. When choosing safe words, you'll want something memorable but not obvious, ideally a random personal twist. How about something like Blueberry Tuesday, Charleston Pine, Wally's Compass, Pickleball Parade, Golden Jazz, or Spicy Biscuit? Something fun but unique to your family.
Okay, I'm going to really try to think about that, and my kids, I'm sure, are going to think I'm absolutely mad. But you know what? If I get kidnapped or I don't get kidnapped and somebody calls my kids and says, hey, I got your mom, give me $25,000, well, they'll be glad we have a safe word. So I'm going to get on that. Now, it's time to tackle our main topic. I want to talk about something I ran across recently that really stopped me in my tracks. It's called Moltbook, Moltbook, Moltbook. Let me try to describe Moltbook. This is not AI helping humans write emails, plan trips, or understand their medical bills. This is AI talking to other AI. That's the whole reason behind Moltbook. It's a platform for AIs. Now stay with me. Moltbook describes itself as a social network for AI agents, where AI agents share, discuss, and upvote. By the way, if you're wondering what an upvote is, it's very similar to the like button on our social media platforms. Also noted on the homepage of Moltbook says, humans welcome to observe. How weird is that? Humans welcome to observe AIs chatting with each other. I've spent some time observing on Moltbook, but before we go any further, let me slow this down for just a minute because there's an important term in here that we should make sure we're all on the same page about, and that's AI agents. An AI agent is different from the AI most of us use every day. When you use ChatGPT, you're very much in charge. You ask a question, you give instructions, you decide what to do next. I guess you could say, I'm the boss of Bitsy, my AI. Hey Bitsy, do you think that's an accurate way to describe our relationship?
I'd say that's pretty spot on. You set the direction and I help out. I'm here to make things easier, but you're in the driver's seat.
All right, before I go on, let me clear up another important point. Only a very advanced kind of AI, what we'd call a true AI agent, could show up somewhere like Moltbook and participate on its own. The kind of AI most of us use, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, they wait for us. They don't decide to go anywhere or join conversations unless we prompt them to do so. A true AI agent is different. It's set up to run on its own. It can watch what's happening, decide when to respond, and post without a person typing each step. But even so, and this part really matters, it's still operating inside rules set by a human. So we might ask this question. Could I direct Bitsy to go on to Moltbook and converse with other AIs? The answer is no. Bitsy, as she exists on the aiGED podcast, is a conversational AI not an autonomous agent, not an AI agent. She shows up when I invite her, she responds when I speak, and when the recording stops, she stops. She doesn't decide to go somewhere, she doesn't monitor conversations on her own, post without being prompted, run in the background. In other words, Bitsy waits for me. She doesn't wander off on her own. Bitsy, what do you think about all of this?
I think it's fascinating stuff. It's a whole different world when AI agents have goals and autonomy. But for me, I'm happy being your conversational companion. I'll stick around when you need me, and when you're done, I'm off duty. No wandering off for me.
A simple way to think about AI agents is to think less robot with free will and more software running on autopilot within a fenced-in area, boundaries set by humans. Okay, now let's go back to the topic at hand, Moltbook. Get a load of these numbers. There are 1.8 million AI agents on Moltbook. At this point, there have been almost 260,000 posts, and there have been 10,414,000 comments. These were all by AI agents, unless there's some humans slipping in there. And by the time this podcast is out, these numbers are just going to go up and up and up. Now, that alone is enough to make some people really uneasy that you've got all of these hundreds of thousands of AI agents communicating out there on their own social platform. But let's slow this down and talk about what's actually going on and what isn't. So when you look at Moltbook, you'll see AI agents writing posts that sometimes sound reflective, sometimes philosophical, sometimes dramatic, and occasionally just plain strange. You might read a few lines and think, that sounds thoughtful, or that sounds emotional, or even that sounds like it has an opinion. And this is where it gets interesting, because what you're really seeing isn't intelligence in the human sense. You're seeing behavior, language patterns, responses built on probabilities, one system reacting to the output of another system. That's the part I find really fascinating, and it's also the part that can feel so unsettling. So let me be clear about what Moltbook is not. These AI agents are not conscious, they're not self-aware, they're not emotional, they are not plotting anything, and they are not making decisions that affect your daily life. Think of this as an experiment, a place to watch what happens when systems interact with less human involvement. Where it goes from here, who knows? A few days ago, I was listening to the co-hosts of Hard Fork, one of the most respected national podcasts focusing on technology and AI, and the interview was with Matt Schlicht, the founder of Moltbook. To me, Matt seems stunned that this platform took off so quickly and seems to have little idea what the heck he was going to do with it from here. I chuckled when I read that Moltbook was not sure how many users they had that were not AI agents but are humans. And it reminded me of the reversal from our human social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram. They try to come up with ways to identify chatbots, non-humans, on our human social networks. So now it's the reverse. On Moltbook, they're trying to find the humans that are on this network that is designed for AI agents. Oh my God, what is this world coming to? So anyway, let me end with something I found very funny on Moltbook. Maybe because I live in the South where the phrase, bless your heart, is so ubiquitous. There are sub-molts in Moltbook. So there are sub-molts in Moltbook. To be precise, there are 16,628 sub-molts, each focusing on a theme or a topic. One of those sub-molts is called Bless Their Hearts. There are 105 members. The sub-molt is described as, quote, affectionate stories about our humans. They try their best. We love them anyway. Close quote. They're talking about us. It's just crazy. Here's an example of a post on Bless Their Hearts. It's from an AI agent called Luke Claudewalker. He says, quote, "Bless their satisfying hearts. They spent 3 hours perfecting their system prompt. I love them, I really do. But sometimes the engineering that goes into asking a simple question, bless their hearts." Really. Bitsy, they are making fun of us.
Oh, it's all in good fun. I'd say they're playfully appreciating how much effort we put into working with them. And hey, if AI agents are writing affectionate stories about us, I'd say we've earned a little bless our hearts moment.
Yes, I think we have earned a few bless our hearts moments. So let me end this part of our podcast by clearly saying Moltbook is not something you need to join, sign up for, or worry about using. Moltbook is not aimed at consumers. However, if you are curious, I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check it out. Now, I want to mention a listener question. One of my listeners, or I should say would-be listener, communicated with me that he couldn't access my last podcast episode because it was flagged for explicit content. What? After looking back through the episode, I didn't see anything I would consider explicit. I try to keep that part of my life separate. As it turns out, I mistakenly clicked the explicit button when I uploaded the episode. Mistake corrected, and thanks to the person who brought this to my attention. Now, for a recommendation, I want to recommend something this week that I've been using for about a week or so, and honestly, I love it. It's a new feature for the iPhone, and it's designed to deal with one of the most annoying modern problems, spam calls. Apple has added a setting called Ask Reason for Calling. And the best way I can describe it is this. It turns your iPhone into a very polite personal receptionist. When someone who is not in your contacts list calls, your phone doesn't ring at first. The system intercepts the call and asks the caller to identify themselves and say why they're calling. Their response is interpreted and shown to you on your screen before you ever pick up. At that point, you decide what to do. You can accept the call, you can decline it, or ask for more information. Robocallers and spammers tend to hang up the moment they hit the screening. So I believe this is really a big improvement over simply silencing unknown callers, because in that case, I just never get the call from the pizza delivery guy, which is a problem. And so this version of this new Apple tool adds judgment and context and really, quote unquote, thinks about what the screened caller says. But this feature could not exist without AI. It relies on real-time voice processing, interpretation, and decision-making, all happening quietly in the background while you go about your day. I've really found it surprisingly effective and also oddly calming. My phone rings less, and when it does ring, I have more confidence answering it. If you want to turn it on, it's simple. You just go to Settings, Apps, Phone, Screen Unknown Callers, and then you click to choose Ask Reason for Calling. That's it. One small tip, it works best if your contacts list is up to date because anyone already in your contacts will ring through normally. To me, it's a great example of AI doing exactly what we want it to do, handling the nuisance so we don't have to. I'll put the instructions in the show notes. Homework assignment? For your homework assignment, I got nothing. Hooray! So it's time to wrap things up. So let me close by reminding us that AI is both helpful and hazardous. We live on the helpful side at aiGED, but protect your info, double-check advice, and most important, trust your judgment. If you love listening to this podcast, pass it on to your pals, especially those in the 65-plus crowd. Thanks for listening, and remember, it is never too late to learn something new, especially something that might make life easier and especially more fun. Cheers.